Continuing where we left off, The Eminence and Shadows Season 2, Episode 3. If you guys haven't checked out my previous reviews already, it'll be up above. Now let's get straight into it. This episode went by really fast. As I was recording the entire episode, I swear every time I looked down at my phone and looked up, like 10 minutes passed. So the good news is it was totally action-packed. There was a lot of action, a lot of funny moments, and you know, Eminence brings what it brings all the time. But the downside is I really do feel like they're just straight rushing through the series. Now, as I've stated before, I haven't exactly read the manga, so I don't know exactly how much they're covering and how quickly they're covering, but from an anime storytelling base, I do feel like they're skipping around a bit. I feel like this arc was cut a little too short. We're already on episode 3 and it's already finished. But even though the episodes seemed to go by pretty quickly, we did get a lot of cool action sequences and we got to see things that we've never really seen before, like Rose fighting Elizabeth and also Beta 2 in action. Two things we've never really seen on screen, and I'm actually pretty excited to see the other Shadow Garden members not just standing around and doing reconnaissance and actually taking on bigger, stronger enemies. We got to see a lot of how Beta fights, and obviously she's not too strong, but we do get to see a lot of her different techniques, and it seems like she specializes in throwing these blade-like swords and having them explode on contact, kind of like claymores or something of that degree. But anyway, it doesn't do too much, and it's kind of hilarious the fact that Beta thinks the only reason why Shadow isn't helping out is because he thinks that they can handle it. Well, that's completely not the case. Sid literally walked away due to the fact that he wanted to go gather more gold to wait for the boss event to take effect and for him to basically no-diff the last person who he has to fight, which of course at this point is Queen Elizabeth. While this is all going on, Claire actually gets damaged pretty badly by Queen Elizabeth once she awakens, and Aurora has to come in and assist her, giving the only reason being that Claire basically belongs to Sid and she knows that he's Shadow, so she doesn't want anything to happen on his behalf. This actually is probably the best part of the episode, since the funniest part is that Aurora tries to pull off her own atomic, and the only reason why we missed the opportunity is because of the fact that Claire's body is not strong enough to handle it. I was actually pretty excited for this episode in that aspect, and that was pretty much the only time during the entire episode that I sat up out of my seat in excitement waiting for her to do it, only to kind of be disappointed at the fact that she can't handle it. It makes sense since Claire hasn't trained in anywhere near the degree that the Shadow Garden members have, but still, it would have been absolutely hilarious to see her pull off her own version of Atomic. Hopefully we get to see one later on in the future. In the meantime, since it didn't work, Aurora did her job in buying time for Sid to pop up, and he made another badass entrance as he always does. And it was kind of reminiscent of the same entrance he did when he had to fight Aurora, and the way that he was flying through the sky and making everything look pretty awesome. Like I said in my last episode, Sid must have practiced this for his entire life because he always manages to pull off his entrances with great pizzazz, and he does them pretty well. There's never been a time where Sid makes a cool entrance where we know he's coming, we know he's gonna pop up, but we still can't help but feel excited at the fact that he's finally arrived and he's there. Sid absolutely folds Elizabeth, and while he's holding his own, he doesn't initially attack at first. Even I was wondering myself while watching the episode why he was hesitating, and of course Beta brings it up herself like, Sid, you're in striking range, why doesn't Shadow just one-shot her? And the reason is because he doesn't want to lose his gold. Yeah, remember the gold that he saved up from earlier that he went back to get? The reason why everybody had to fight Elizabeth on their own to begin with? Yeah, his entire reason for not one-shotting Elizabeth or resetting everything back to the way it was initially is because he wanted to save his gold. Now, this is actually pretty hilarious because of the fact that Beta thinks he's not moving in order to protect them, when in actuality, he gives absolutely no fucks and he's protecting the gold instead. Once Shadow decides that enough gold has been sacrificed, or that he doesn't want any more of his gold to be broken by the attacks, he leads up in an awesome manner and actually one-shots her with a recovery atomic, a new attack we have never seen before, which seemingly uses all of Sid's energy to essentially reset everything in the area to their previous state. I believe this includes simple injuries as well as any mutations that have been done in the area. Something that's actually pretty damn overpowered, and I think that this is just something else that states that Sid is one of the strongest characters out there in anime. Now, even though we did get this awesome new ability, I am actually still a little upset that we didn't get an atomic. I sat up once more and I was ready for the old range, and then he just Whisper's recovery atomic, fixes everything. And you know, this episode went by pretty quickly, as I stated, and I don't think there's really too much to be stated about this episode outside of the fact that we have some new exposition on what's going on with Sid's sister, and the fact that Shadow actually didn't kill Elizabeth, but he spared her life, and she's actually living pretty happy and rebuilding her kingdom. So I think that was nice of him to do. But we also get a nice touching scene at the end of the episode where Sid is actually being really supportive of his sister, something that I didn't think I'd ever really see, since again, he doesn't really seem to care about anything outside of his adventures and his goals of pretending to be an extra as well as being Shadow. I actually like the fact that Sid was being nice to his sister and helping out. So what did you guys think about this episode? How excited were you to see the other members of Shadow Garden pop up? Do you think that this episode went by too fast as well? Let me know your comments down below. Sorry if there wasn't too much to cover this episode, but like I said, it was really quick. Hopefully the next episode will have a lot more to talk about, but nonetheless, it's the Eminence of Shadow, still one of my favorite animes to this day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Atomic.